class is in memory of Jared Orchen. This week's Parsha is Parshat TERUMAH. And in the beginning, the whole Parshas, the 4 next Parshas, with a small interruption of one Parsha, Parshat TERUMAH, and Tetzaveh, and Vayakel, and Pekudei, speak about the building of the tabernacle, building of the temple. And the Torah starts to tell us right away in the beginning what type of material we will need for the building of the temple. And among the things that we will need we will need gold and silver and copper. And then the Torah says we will need wood for the walls. And the wood will be, what type of wood? Acacia wood. But Rashi, right away says, acacia wood in the desert? Where they found wood in the desert? Gold, silver, makes sense. Wood, in the middle of the desert. Rashi says something very, very interesting. Rashi says that they took the acacia wood from Egypt. Why should the Jews be busy schlepping acacia wood from the desert, from Egypt, when they're running out from Egypt? And Pharaoh is chasing them out. Everybody was collecting his own gold and silver and copper, right? And there is a few Hasidim who carried the coffin of Joseph. Together with the coffin of Joseph, they were taking acacia wood. Acacia wood. Who told them? Why? The Medrash says something very amazing. When Jacob went down to Egypt, he had in his own backyard acacia wood. In Israel, he schlepped the acacia wood from Israel to Egypt. Why? Because he knew that one day, prophetically he knew that one day the Jewish people will build a temple. And they will need acacia wood. That when he left Israel to see Joseph in Egypt, and he knew it's going to be for a while, obviously, he took with him the acacia wood, and he replanted them in his backyard in Egypt. And when the Jews left Egypt, they knew that the acacia wood is for the building of the temple. That they pulled it out and they schlepped it on their shoulders. And then 6 months later, Yom Kippur, a day after Yom Kippur, Moses is coming down from Mount Sinai and he says, "Guys, God wants us to build them a temple, and we need acacia wood." They say, "Oh yeah, we have it right here." Then the question is, why should Jacob schlep acacia wood from Israel to Egypt? They should schlep it from Egypt to the desert. Couldn't he just, they were in the desert, but they were not too far from cultivated places. It wasn't they were in the middle of nowhere. They drive 5 minutes, they find a city. They were in the desert, but the inhabited places were not too far. Go to the closest place, they take a horse and a buggy, pick up the wood and bring it and build a temple. Schlep it from Egypt. When the Jews, the Jewish people observed the mitzvah of the lulav and etrog in the desert. Where they found an etrog in the desert? He sent messengers and brought an etrog. That if they can bring an etrog, some commentary says from Italy, they can for sure bring acacia wood from around the corner, schlepping all the way from Egypt. The Rebbe said once, spoke about it, I was there, and he said something amazing. The Rebbe said, the acacia wood was there for a purpose. Not a technical reason, because they needed acacia wood. When Jacob went down to Egypt, he knew that it's going to be a dark exile. And he knew that the Jews will lose their hope, that they'll ever get out, because things only got worse. Worse and worse and worse. That when a person passes by and he tells his son, my dear, one day we'll go out from Egypt. He says, "Who told you?" "My father told me." "My father." Your father's also never. It's just a story. Just a fairy tale. We'll never get out of here. Look what's going on. As Jews taught when they were in communist Russia. My mother told me many times They used to wish themselves, may Moshiach come and we'll go out from Russia. That's how far-fetched was the idea of ever leaving Russia. Then the same thing here, they will never go out from Egypt. Egypt was written, it was a jail. Nobody could leave Egypt, just like communism in the worst years. Then the father will take the son to this garden where the acacia wood is growing. And he will tell him, you see this acacia wood? You know who planted? Jacob planted. You know why he planted? Because he was sure that one day he will go out from Egypt. And God will tell us to build a temple. And we will need wood. And this wood will be there to build a temple. Then the acacia wood was serving as a encouragement, as a place of comfort, of strengthening the faith of the Jews, not to lose it, that one day will go out from Egypt. That's why the rabbi in the Medrash who says this is Medrash Tanchuma. His name was Tanchuma. Tanchuma comes from the word Nechama. Nechama means comfort. That's why he said it, because he wanted to give comfort to the Jewish people. He realized the comfort side that the Jewish people took, strength from the trees, from the acacia tree of wood.
Is Rashi the one who quotes this, or who quotes
Rashi quotes it.
Okay.
Was there anything special about acacia wood?
It's a certain wood that God wants it. He could find it other places, but the reason why it made this long journey was to serve for another purpose.
And acacia is very
Now,
hard.
not only this was used for the purpose, there was something else to give strength for the Jewish people while they were in Egypt. What was the other thing beside the acacia wood they took out from Egypt and they left Egypt? Mentioned it before, the coffin of Joseph, Joseph's bones. What Joseph told him. Jacob, before he died, he told his sons he wants to be buried back in Israel. He told Joseph, he made them swear. Go, you take my coffin, go right away to Israel and bury me at the cave of Machpelah together with my parents and grandparents. Joseph, before he died, he told his children, his brothers, they should bury him in Egypt. And when God will take you out from Egypt, take my bones out from Egypt too. And that was also, Rabbi pointed out in a different talk, that was made. And this is how we finish the first book from the 5 books of Moses. Usually in Judaism, you finish something on a good note, on an optimistic note. Then you read it, and Joseph died and he was put in a coffin in Egypt. That's the last word of the first book of the book of Genesis. That the Rabbi asked, this is how you finish a book? It's depressing. Well, Joseph, the last, the last leader, Jacob, Joseph, died, and he was put in Egypt, buried in Egypt, nothing taken to Israel. The Rabbi said that was a source of comfort for generations to come. When the last 8 years of the exile in Egypt, where the suffering was so big, that God wanted to make sure that there is a source of comfort. Joseph is here. Joseph said, when we will leave Egypt, he was so sure that one day we will leave Egypt that he didn't mind to be buried in Egypt because he knew that one day they'll take him with them. Then you had 2 sources of comfort. The acacia wood and Joseph's coffin. With these 2 they came out from Egypt. When they left Egypt, they took with them Joseph's coffin and the acacia wood. Now why we need 2? Why we need 2 sources of comfort? Why one is not enough?
Witness.
Oh, the Torah tells us about everything in Judaism. You need witnesses. 1 witness is not good enough. You need 2 witnesses. Al pi shnayim edim yakum davar. You need 2 witnesses. By the way, in the Shema, there is 2 large letters in the first line of the word Shema. The Ayin of the Shema and the Daled of the Echad. Together makes the word aid, witness. We are witnesses of God. God is a witness of us. Together, 2 witnesses. Now we see in Judaism, everything is it need 2 proofs. For example, what the proofs are a kosher animal? What are the 2 signs? What are the signs? Split hoofs and
Multiple stomach.
Chewing the cud.
and chewing the cud. 2 signs, not 1. What are the signs for a fish, for a kosher fish? Fins and scales. Even though everyone has scales, has fins, right? Then what we still use, two signs. The same thing is in other things. Every time we need two signs. For example, very good. Every person needs to have two signs. The tefillin are called a sign for a relationship with God. The bris is also a sign, a ot. Shabbat is also a sign. On Shabbat we don't put on tefillin because we have enough, two signs. We see it also in the Mishkan. This whole Parshat we're going to read is about the tabernacle, the sanctuary, the portable sanctuary that we built in the desert. We see that, in every synagogue, we have an eternal light, right? Why we have an eternal light? What's the source for the eternal light? Why we started? Why we have it in every synagogue? Because in the menorah that used to be in the temple, there were 7 branches. That they used to fill up every branch, every light, with a certain amount of oil, all 7, the same amount, and one of them is to burn until the next night. All of them is to burn out in the morning, is to fill them up in the evening, light them. They burn out early morning. One of them is to burn until next evening. Then this candle was a candle that used to burn forever. Ner Tamid, eternal light. To remember this miracle, it was a miracle because the oil was equally by all of them. One of them miraculously used to burn by itself. That was a sign that God is resting in the holy temple. You see a miracle in front of your eyes. God is here. That's why we have the eternal light. There was another miracle with the fire. Which miracle was with the fire?
The fire?
What?
The vertical.
No.
Straight up?
No.
Elijah.
A miracle with a fire that used to burn always. On the altar, even they brought 3 fires on the big altar. One of the fires used to burn by itself. Even if you wouldn't add wood, it would burn, continue to burn forever. Never was put out. It was raining outside. The altar was outside. It was raining. Never was put out.
But you need.
Also a miraculous fire. To a point that when the Jewish people in the desert used to travel from place to place, they take the altar, there is a fire there. They had a metal cover to cover the fire, and on top of it used to cover it with material and carry it. Because they couldn't put the fire, while they were traveling, the fire was there. Why we need 2 fires? 2 miracles in the temple? One is not enough? For the same reason. 2 witnesses. We need 2 fires. It's written Eish Tamid, the same language as in there is Ner Tamid and Esh Tamid. Ala Mizbeach. For the altar was Esh Tamid, a fire forever, and in the menorah there is Ner Tamid, a candle that burns forever.
So what's the second one in the temple? No.
We do not have 2 in the temple. Here we are not busy with 2, 1 is enough. We are the signs. These fires that burning right here, this is the best sign. We don't need fires, electric fires. We don't have miracles here. It's only a tradition to continue. And could be that lighting the 2 candles on Friday night is to remember the 2 fires. The 2 miracles that took place in the temple. The fire of the candle, the Ner Tamid, and the fire of the altar, the Esh Tamid.